founder of Skills Beyond Education, an elite performance coach for entrepreneurs, executives, and students. And today I have an amazing person, Sonal Raja, who's a clinical psychologist from US, and she's completed her clinical psychology from US, and she's been working with multiple organizations and on neurodiversity, inclusion, and she's an advocate of on mental health and especially on children, on parents and family structure, and she's been practicing this for over 20-25 years, I think, and she is also closely involved with schools, organizations on mental health, work-life balance, and it's amazing to have her here. Thank you, Sonal, for taking time out and joining me in this dialogue session. Excited to learn from you and also to share some insights on the same domain that we work.
Yeah,
And I'd also like to
great.
thank all. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's nice to be sharing a platform with you. And you have been working in this area, so I'm glad that we can just put our thoughts together. And I hope people who are audience who is here will benefit.
I'm so happy. And I also like to thank the audience today for taking time out to join us, and hope we can give them some really amazing insights and breakthroughs for some questions they may be having. And this also will be available recorded wherever you are. Please do follow the page so you can get more such insights and programs coming your way. And if you have any questions, then do feel free to drop in the questions in the chat box, whichever platform you're watching, then it does come up for me and for us here. So we can take it up as it comes. And also be leaving a question form for you to fill up to get in touch with us at any time. And let's begin. And Sonal, you've been working, and especially there is a topic that is very close to you now, which is neurodiversity. If you could, and how important it is today. And we were talking in the, before this live, and we're sharing some thoughts. Could you, share something for the audience as well?
Yeah, great. Thank you, first of all, again, thank you for having me. I'm glad that, we have such a platform where we can, talk about various things. And I've heard the other topics and experts that you bring. And I'm glad that there is a place where parents or people can come and get so much information on varied topics. So, coming to neurodiversity, yes, it's something that I've been lately involved with in various places. And I would just like to share, it might be a unfamiliar term for many people, and many people might still know. Neurodiversity talks about how each individual is different and how they perceive the world in their own manner, how they perceive the world differently, and how they make sense of whatever they have seen in, according to their sensory and perception experiences. So neurodiversity just means that each individual has a different way of understanding and reacting to the world. However, which means everybody in the world, like you, me, our family members, all, when we talk about, we are talking about neurodiversity. But a segment of neurodiversity we also call neurodivergent. It is a section of individuals who have a specific way to understand and interact with the world. So they have sensory needs, or they might have emotional needs, or they might need certain specific ways in which we want to help. So people typically who we call people who are on autism spectrum, people who are on ADHD spectrum, people who have bipolar, people who have learning disabilities, all these are called people on neurodivergent spectrum, which means that they are, they are just like us, but they have certain needs and they understand world a little differently than us, or maybe they react in a different manner.
So, what kind of challenges would a teacher or a parent be feel at home? I mean, what kind of challenges could they and the child go through? Especially in their interactions because of this.
Yeah, that's, extremely important to know. So, first thing that we talk about when we talk about neurodiversity or neurodivergent children is to understand that neurodiversity is something to break away from what we typically call normal. Okay, so that is where the whole issue starts, because if you know the typical bell curve, we are mostly referring to normal as people who are in the center. But neurotypical neurodivergent means that we are talking about people who might be on in the center, on the sides, extremes, everywhere. So we have to first we explain or tell teachers that you might see all children differently. All children are different in the way they understand language or they understand numbers, and therefore we need to be a little more open about that this child is normal, this child is not. And nowadays we talk about neurodivergent, neurotypical is basically people who we think are behaving like everyone else. So that is, when teachers feel that this child is not learning the way I'm teaching everybody else. So there are 4 or 5 children. Typically, there is a group of at least 12 to 15% of children who are, we call, might have any kind of neurodivergent needs in a typical classroom of 30. So we need to understand that all children learn differently. So it's not that the child is having a challenge in learning, but there it might be possible for a teacher to think that what am I doing? What can I do differently to reach out to this child, because this child is not learning just when I'm teaching, talking, and chalk and talk, we say I'm writing on the board and I'm talking to the children. Most children catch up, most children pick up math and pick up language, pick up spellings like that. But some child is not doing, some child is not catching up with the spelling, some child is not catching up with the numbers. So is there another way in which I can help this child? Does this child need material to learn from? Does this child need a picture to tell a story instead of just imagining a story? So those are ways in which we say give a lot of sensory. Some children learn through hearing, auditory, senses. Some children learn by doing. Some children understand by using material. So when we say that, if you have a child with neurodivergent needs, all you need to do is just take a pause and see what is the strength of this child. Does this child respond to auditory instructions? Does this child need a separate place to sit, a quieter corner in the classroom? Does this child need more pictures or less numbers, on the so it's just that we keep saying that if you're reaching a place where you're saying I don't think this child is learning, we need to stop and just see what can I do differently to make this child learn this concept or this topic, whatever it is.
Okay. And
That is about the teacher. And if we talk about, sorry, were you saying
yeah,
something?
yeah, from the parent side, yeah.
Parents, yeah, from the parents. Now, parents are a very different group. Teachers see 30 children at least at one go. So they are able to say this child is learning this way and this child is not learning this way. However, parents nowadays, we have either a child or 2 children, and both are different. And we keep thinking that maybe, give child a little more time before they catch up, or, wait for a little while. So what happens that if you think as a parent that there is certain thing that you feel that my child is not learning, my child is not speaking the way I see other children in the park talking, my child is not able to write or is struggling to write, whatever it is, then you need to, again, you need to take a little while to understand what is happening with the child, because all children grow at a different pace, which is definitely true. But there is also a very important period, we call sensitive and critical period of growth and development, which means all milestones of children should be met at a certain age range. physical development, when the child walks, when the child talks, when the child learns to say a full sentence, when the child is able to repeat. So this is, I'm talking about early childhood. Is the child able to run, play catch, slide down in the park? So if the children are able to do this, very nice. But if you feel that your child is struggling in doing something which all other children are doing, I think we should not ignore it. We should not close our eyes. We should not wait. It is important that we address that quickly, bring it to the notice of the teacher, or bring it to, take help, and definitely not Google. I would, that's a caveat I would like to share. So parents need to, but the other thing is that if the parent is thinking that is my child struggling, again we need to understand that all children don't learn at the same time and in the same way. So can I do something different with my child? Can I take take them to the park and talk to them about something? Can I sit in a quiet corner and talk to them? Can I teach them through beats, through slate, instead of just opening the book and doing the homework?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, very, very valid points, and insightful. Like, sometimes I find, especially working in the teenage space and above, and of course you're
Yeah.
working in across the school spectrum, and I see that sometimes, especially the older teens, young adults, they read up a lot on psychology, and
Yes.
manifest many things that they have, and not that they don't, probably they do, right? How do they come? Sometimes they come with so much of access to information, and in a way kind of start behaving to the pattern rather than taking some help or something like that.
Yes. Absolutely. I'm so glad that you brought this, when we spoke about Google, because for little children and parents, it's a different thing. And for older children who have access to devices and internet, it's a completely different ball game. So the older children, like you said, they know that there might be something that they are experiencing, and they are finding out what they might be. And many a times they are, like you said, they are reading the symptoms, and they are manifesting those symptoms. And they, when they come to me first, when you hear them as a, in a therapy session, you say, wow, classic case, showing all presentation, saying that I'm having this problem. Because how we work in therapy, we say, there is a checklist of symptoms, and they should be presented for a certain period of time before somebody can be diagnosed with disorder. So if we say, typically, if I say depression, what happens is that we there are certain things that we need to follow. And but children or teenagers, they are ahead of us, and rightly so. So they read up all that, and they come, and then it becomes, first you say, okay, they are showing classic symptoms of maybe depression or ADHD or something, and they need to be diagnosed. But if you do that conversation, a couple of times, because I refrain from giving a diagnosis right in the first session. And I also usually take inputs from various other people before I diagnose a person with anything, especially people who are either caregivers or significant others, spouses, partners, parents. So then, if there is any discrepancy in their responses, then I usually refrain from just giving out a diagnosis, and I work with the individual. Because what has happened is, nowadays children or teenagers want to have, like we said, that, like you said, and I'm sure you have experienced it as well, that some are really genuine, authentic cases where they are struggling with their either identity, with their emotions, with their relationships, with their studies, everything. However, sometimes it is also convenient to take this on, and take this as a as a way to cope with various things. So if I have a label of or a diagnosis that I have this issue, I have the psychological issue, then I will not be asked to do many things. In the school, I'll be given a little leeway. Parents might be a little more gentle with me. And that is unfortunately how some cases that I work with come out. But then we have to work with them and help them to understand that, even if the individual is struggling to have relationship or with parents or with friends, we need to help them understand that this diagnosis alone will not help you, and you need to do something more.
Yeah.
But
So how
internet
think
and information
how
is
much
a
of
so,
that's something, it's something on constantly educating the parents, doing the diagnosis. I mean, working with them is there, but coming back to the education, where schooling is happening, it's the kind of thing where you have to study, academic pressures are so high, right? And
yes,
there is so much of stress today compared to before, right? Clearly,
yes.
the pressure of studies is there, pressure from parents, peers, their extended families like grandparents. So how is this affecting their social and emotional intelligence, as we call it?
Yeah, that's a big one. So what is happening many a times that I see that parents are or families altogether are ignorant of a social emotional development that happens parallelly with physical development and academic development of children. And because they are growing up, we buy new clothes, we feed them differently, so physical needs are taken care of. Maybe we send them to play a game or a sport. And academic needs, we know, we children go from class to class, we buy them books, we put them in various classes, academic classes, tuitions and courses. uh, very And we think that everything, if this is going okay, everything is all right, because children are fed, taken care of, they go to good schools, all they have their stationery and books, they have their gadgets, so nothing to worry about. And we don't know the other side of the story, where the child is in the school and they have to be in the presence of another, say almost a typical school will have 100 in a batch, four or five sections to a grade. And they have to teachers will compare them. Teachers will say, you are good at math, why are you not getting that much score? Or why is your English essay not up to the mark? And all this, along with everybody wants to perform higher, the Olympics has given us good motto. So we want to do better in academics, we want to be better in sports, we want to do theater, we want to do music. And that is a lot of pressure on a child to experience, because if a child is good, that is even worse. I will tell you, Pritham, that children who have been top performers, in the upper 10% or 5%, I see them having so much of emotional challenges in the later half of 11th grade and 12th grade, because each teacher expects better and better results from them. They
Yeah.
are competing amongst each other. They don't have time to socialize, they don't have time to have entertainment, they don't have time to do any physical activity. And a very important part of teenage is romantic relationship. And they don't know how to go about it, because we don't talk about it, we don't educate children. So social needs are not met, emotional needs, we say, why should you be stressed, why should be you be worried, you are studying every day, you are going to a tuition, or I'm giving you everything, so you should have no depression, you should have no study stress, you should have no anxiety about performance. But that's a reality for a child that the parent or adult misses out, because they and the pressure of getting into a good college. So it's not just studying for the exam and taking the exam and getting the result. It's about also that result will take me to the next college. And those last couple of years from end of say middle of grade 11 to till they get into a college are extremely stressful for.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more because the stress of academics takes away the social, build skills that they could build. And just to introduce again, I'm Captain Preetham Madhukar, founder of Skills Beyond Education, elite performance coach for entrepreneurs, executives, and students. And with me, I have Sonal Raja, who's a clinical psychologist who works extensively in the social emotional realm with students, with schools and organizations. And she's been doing some amazing work. And I will be leaving a link here to get in touch with us in case you would like to, at any point, uh, reach out to us. Then please go ahead. The link will be available in whichever channel you're watching. And thank you so much for taking time out. I hope you're getting some great insights, breakthroughs. There is more to come. Sonal has got a wealth of knowledge to share. And if you have any questions, especially regarding a child, somebody you're caring for, then do leave in the chat box so we can take up that question and address it live here. That's the advantage of live. So we can actually address something which is concerning you, and just for being present here to be in the session. So, continuing, Sonal, is the social needs, especially. That's something that fascinates me, and I try to keep seeing how that fabric we can strengthen. I see children are more lonelier. They don't know how to make friends. They don't have. Very rarely I've seen children say they have any best friends today, and they have friends but no best friend. Nobody they can confide deeply, and this is not so back before, and it's more increasing now. So, and of course there is so many factors affecting this, right? And how can parents and teachers build that social kind of strengthening skill? Because when they come to work, especially when they, okay, school, college, okay, they have the reason of studies and all, but when they actually come to work, they struggle to make friends, struggle to bond with others, they stay isolated. So what can they do so to prevent that happening in their 20s and 25s? What can they do in a school level? Okay. And what can parents do for building the social, especially the social side? You're not coming, you're coming muted.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I was talking about two things. There's a prelude to your social element. What I wanted to say, like I was saying that how everything becomes about academics as children grow from in the high school. And even when I talk to parents, they say, like, suppose if I give you an example, a student of mine who's in high school, and I'm talking to the parent,
Mhm.
and the parent is saying that, my child is not studying, my child has a, a higher potential to get better marks, teachers are saying, and I keep following up with the child, I support the child, I have given all the tuitions and all, but still child is not doing better. And then I have to, ask the parent, are you being a parent or are you being a second teacher to the parent? Are you
Mhm.
being a project manager? Are you you seem like a project manager of a child who has a aim that, my child should get this much marks and this college entrance. And, they say, okay, I have put everything, I have everything in control, because parent knows exactly what to do and how it can lead to, where will it lead to. However, when I say, what about the parent? What about the parent-child relationship? Where is the bond? And they say, the bond is there. That's my child. But I say, no, that's not. That's now how it works. How many times, how many hours or days in a week that you spend with your child, just generally chatting, generally talking. And most of the times answer is yes, we talk about college admission, yes, we talk about projects and presentation and assignments. And I have to really tell the parents that you have to reduce or cut down the conversation around academics with your child. There has to schedule specific, like a meeting like thing, that every Wednesday we will sit at this time and every Friday we will sit at this time and take stock of your academics. What is coming up next week? Are there assignments due? What do we need to do? Next steps for your college admissions. Don't make it an everyday thing, because then your relationship, your bond with the child is only about academics and college admission. Have time, if, just like I said, schedule time for academic review. Also schedule time for family fun times, family game or movie nights, or just having dinner together and talking about something else other than things that are already stressing your child out. So having that emotional relationship where the child can be. And many a times children just want to tell you something. They don't want you to fix. As a parent, and I know that our instinct is, oh, my child is saying this is a problem, let me fix it. But children don't want everything to be fixed by their parents. If they just want to say that, dad or mom, I am not understanding much in chemistry, but I'll get my way around it. Or mom, I'm having difficulty with this child in the class, but I'm okay. And you can just ask, is there anything I can do? Or just listen. Instead of giving, we just jump in to say, do this so that you learn better, do this so that you make more friends. Instead, just let the person be, just let the child be. This way, not only you're supporting them emotionally, but also giving them skills to think about what they can do on their own, how they can solve a problem, how, if there's an issue, what can they do on their own, instead of only relying on you or depending on you to provide a solution. And that also increases their self confidence, because then they think that, okay, even if I fail, I know what to do. What did I do to fail? Let me try one more time.
Yeah,
And you just need to be there. This emotional development helps them in giving that space, being that person who gives emotional support to other individuals around them. Even when they grow up, and like you were saying that they are they are at work, newly at work, or finishing college, those social skills are not there, because there's always a task and you have to achieve it. Exams, there are books, you have to finish it and you get marks, whether it's in school or in college. But work does not happen like that. Work comes and you need to work with other people to get the work done. And if you are just thinking about what can I do, how can I achieve, it doesn't work like that, in modern times.
yeah,
And the other thing that we are not doing for emotional development is anything related to their other skills other than academics. And things that they go outdoors, they do things where they become more self-reliant and confident. If a child does something on their own, and you do a lot of that kind of work, if they go, even if they build a small thing, if they put some roof together, if they cut wood and make just a small planter or something, what a joy it gives, that I can create, I can make things, I can climb a small hill, I can take care of a dog or a cat, which gives them so much of confidence and a sense of achievement, that that is not just limited to academic achievement.
absolutely.
So you might have some other
I have
experiences
a
with
story
that.
to share, long back, where I was with this group of youngsters, teenagers, and we had gone to this beach, and I was doing some activities there, and we were preparing, we were camping out on the beach, and so we were all doing all the stuff. And I saw that bunch of kids, I mean, all scattered in twos and threes, and just sitting around, not really playing, just chatting and talking and all that. And it was like a beautiful day. I said, how come none of you guys are playing? What is happening? Because we finished all the camping related stuff and with it. He said, no, the teachers told no, don't take ball for the trip, and also we didn't get and all that stuff. So we don't have balls, we can't play. And then I said, okay. Then I just walked around. It's like a isolated, clear beach, and I found this coconut shell, and I just picked up, broke up a little bit, just like a husk kind of a thing. I said, hey, we got our ball, and we used that, played on the beach. All the kids loved it so much; they didn't want to come back and have their meal. It was late dark, and there was also a bond, and there was a lot of laughter, conversation during dinner. So one of the things I realized was that to adapt to the thing, yes, I don't have a ball, what can we do? Building such kind of skill sets.
Yes,
Secondly, the camaraderie that comes from play. I'm such a strong advocate of playing to build this social emotional intelligence. When I'm
absolutely.
saying playing, I'm not meaning the few organized sports as today, cricket,
Yes,
soccer, and all that, but free play, and play without sometimes an end goal. There is no winner at the end. You're just playing in a, you can play as long as you want, like a running and catching game.
yes,
There is no end till you say you want to end it. So those kind of free play, even for children, small children, though we allow, but we forget that even older kids, even sometimes adults,
adults.
that
Yes.
we need that to socialize. In fact, it's one of my projects. We call it the We Play Club, only for adults. We bring this such kind of free play for young adults and older people. Yeah.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Outdoor activities, whether it's play or camping or trekking or just going by the riverside, anything is just a beautiful way to build social skills, help people to just, because if you're going there by the riverside, you don't usually go with every equipment. You will ask somebody, do you have this thing? You will go to the nearby village and get something, and it's such a skill to help people feel a big, sense of achievement, accomplishment, and feel that I can do other things other than just sitting in my room in front of the device and learning something. So it's
yeah.
a great way
Yeah.
outdoor. Yeah.
And what do you say about, let's say, for parents of young kids, let's say not even started schooling years or in the kindergarten kind of years, what should they do, to build better capacity or better social emotional skills for their young ones?
Yeah. I work with a lot of young parents, and I've started working with younger and younger parents, even expecting parents. But so it is very important that first of all, parents see that there is more to their child other than just their physical development, because all we know is that every we have a chart and we say, okay, the child with 2 months should be this tall and the head circumference should be that, and we go by that. Young parents, and it is difficult for young parents to also get their lives around this young life, because the sleep timings are different, their wake timings are different. So a young parent is a very has a very low, a lot of challenge for at least 2 years till everything settles down. And I acknowledge that challenge of time if they are working parents, then even more. But what I suggest and I request and I insist that all young parents to spend more and more time, find time to spend with your child as much as possible, and happy time, not just feeding time or bathing time, which is essential. And you should enjoy the first few years of your child's life, where all the nice new things happen. They roll, they talk, they crawl, they start walking. You want to be in a happy space, to be there for your child. So we always say that for young parents, first of all, it is extremely important to prioritize your young one at home and give at least 1 to 2 hours of positive happy time. Okay. And then we say, as the child grows a little older, take them to the park, spend time with them, do activities with them, talk to them. The little children, even as little as a day old, 2 years, 3 years, they respond very well to the voices of people in the family. So talk to your children, sing to your children, play with your children, play in front of your child. If you have an older child at home, because children learn by imitating and modeling. So if you have an older child, play catch in front of that, little one who's sitting and who would want to jump and take the ball. So what we call is stimulation. The children brains are developing at a very higher speed, and therefore they need a lot of stimulation. So sensory stimulation, which means that showing them a lot of different things, but not gadgets, not screens. Show them things outdoor, in the sky, tree nearby. If you have material, different colors. So sensory inputs in terms of vision, in terms of auditory, sing them, let them sing to them so they know soft mellow voices. Let them hear some kind of soft beating of the drums, like that. Or children like to play with kitchen utensils and they bang them. All these are ways in which they are learning to discriminate sounds. So visual discrimination, auditory processing, making them touch and feel a lot of other things, grass, wood, soft cloth, water. Just, if sometimes when it is very hot, you put your hand in front of the fan or AC, you feel the children feel the air. They like to do that. So giving them a lot of this kind of stimulation early years, with talking to them, interacting with them, playing with them, and all the sensory stimulation is very important. So even before children start reading, writing, just letting them scribble with a chalk on the floor, on the board, is very important, because these are the skills that later on help in reading, writing, speaking. So when, like I was talking to you, that children sometimes have difficulty. I'm working with a child who's 7-year-old, who's not able to uh, discriminate between sounds of different letters. So if I say pat, it's per act, but the sounds the child is not able to discriminate, and writing just any three letters. So what we do is that, because the child is not able to understand the difference between p and b, and there are two different sounds. So we start with saying that, okay, if I do this, you hear a different sound, and if I do this, you hear a different sound. And we say, okay, tell me which sound is which. So we have to start with that
Yeah.
sound of a wood or sound of a metal. So when we say for parents to develop this social emotional development, spend a lot of time, read to your children, tell them stories, take them to park, let them share their toys. Many parents say, oh, I will bring my child, I will bring my own toy, I will bring my own thing. Let all children play with their own toys. No, I say, if one child has a sand toy, you take the sand ball and let all children exchange and play. That's where they learn collaboration, that's where they learn communication. So instead of thinking that all children should bring their own play equipment, all children should bring their own book, I say share, let them share and develop those skills.
Beautifully, I mean, said, like, in the sense, like, how important at such young age they learn how to mingle. Because we are, I remember in school we were told man is a social animal, and we were all studying that. But today, somewhere we have forgotten that, that we need people, we need to be around people, we need to develop the skill sets of being around people, right? And rightly so, you mentioned how sensory seeking that sensory inputs sometimes can make us think that we're talking about gadgets, because such a massive access to sensory inputs, to digital gadgets, digital media, and that can be a whole world. But before we get there, I have some question from Divya. Divya Matthew has asked a question. Um, my son is 9 years. He had speech delay which affected his social skills, a few symptoms of ASD. He is homeschooled but not able to make friends as kids his age are way ahead socially. What do I do? Sonal, your
Yeah.
thoughts? Yeah.
Yes. Hi, Divya. So, thank you for asking that question. And you said that your child has had speech issues and also on spectrum. So, when, like I was talking about neurodiversity earlier, it is important that we don't treat all children equally. Your child needs friends to socialize, but the child also has lesser need to socialize because he or she might be on the spectrum. So when you're saying that, do not, because social stimulate might overwhelm him, and the more you expose him to social interactions or social stimulation, the more he will withdraw, because if the child is not seeking social stimulation, then that might cause more anxiety. So for let your child, you know, become ready for social interaction. Till such time, it is all right for your child to have less friends, one or two friends, but be positively interacting with those one or two friends, or be okay in their presence. Even if your child is doing his own thing in presence of another person, it shows, it conveys that your child is okay with that another person. And if you let that be, after some time your child will make move to become socialize with that another child. Maybe he will ask for a toy, or maybe he will share an equipment or a toy. So don't worry about the social skill. It will come as much as it is required, because your son will give indication how much socialization he needs. And not everybody needs, you know, same amount of social stimulation. So at this point, don't, don't force the child to interact with other children, because that will only make him more anxious and withdraw from social situations.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
just to add to what Sonal was already sharing, I had a similar situation, and with a youngster who was very socially awkward, not able to play. So initially, I would accompany him to play, okay, because he had trust in me. So I would accompany him to play, and I would be there while he's playing. As long as I was there, he was very comfortable, and we would just play, and I would invite other kids around that age to come and play. And soon it happened that there was a time where I could now back off. I was just going there to the playground, but not really playing. I'm just sitting there, right? The children are playing, and I finally asked, you know what, are you? Do you want me to still come and join you for play? He said, no, I'm comfortable, and there is no need. So sometimes your child, especially if it's feeling awkward, as he's feeling awkward, you could accompany him for some time. Go to the playground, play with him. If he's not wanting to play with others, as long as it takes. Sometimes it may take few days and weeks. You'll be surprised. It happens quite rapidly. Children rapidly are adaptable. They adapt to things, and they pick up very fast. And you invite some friends to play and join you guys, and slowly they'll start playing. Your need becomes less and less. You withdraw but present, and then finally you withdraw from them. So this I have seen happen even with teenagers sometimes. And same thing I've tried with teenagers, and it has also worked with the teenagers, where they just need one adult companion whom they trust to be part of that till they find their place with that group or with that bunch of kids. This is something you could try, Divya, and maybe it could help you. And I think that's a question. In case there are any more questions, then please do share. Thank you, Divya, for your question. Amazing one, and it gave us a lot of thinking, and to share some thoughts. And thank you to all the audience. We have another some time, 10 minutes to go before we wrap up. If you have any questions, then now's the time to ask. and Sonal is, clinical psychologist, works with children all ages and parents and teachers and organizations. So she's got some amazing insights, and I hope you're getting a lot of breakthroughs and insights for your own life, especially if you're a parent or a teacher. And we would be happy to address some questions now. And what about bullying as such, Sonal? I mean, bullying happens. What can be playful bullying, likely to what can become very severe, traumatic, and what can parents and teachers do about it? What can the child, if they can be educated or informed, what can they do about it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with post-COVID, when children have come back to school, we are seeing a lot of rise in, I will say, difficulty in social relationships overall.
Mm.
And bullying is one aspect of it. Children are having difficulty in interacting, socializing, sharing spaces and resources in classrooms or in schools, and they also don't want to they have become more resistant to interacting with others, or they have become less what is the word I'm looking for, um, they have become less understanding of others. And therefore what is happening is that as a result there is a lot of power struggle, because children for 2 years have been in their rooms, they had their own gadget, they had their own spaces. And therefore now when they are all there, they are asked to do certain things which they can't deny. Otherwise children had the option of turning off the mic, turning off the video, and they or multiple these things,
Mm.
windows or tabs would be open and they could be playing something on the side, and class could be going on one side. But now everybody is in everybody's face, and therefore there's a lot of power struggle. They are less tolerant of each other, and therefore they are taking things, they are sitting in places where they want to, they are calling people name. What COVID also did is expose children to a lot of media and content which was not for their age group. So people end up seeing a lot of movies, a lot of shows that were not for their age group, and it was for older people. So they have picked up a lot of vocabulary, they have picked up a lot of behavioral things, that they are showing it in the classroom. The power that I know this more than you. And many a times, what we are saying, telling first, educating children to differentiate between if it is bullying, or if it is a conflict, or if it is just somebody being mean to you. And they are different things. If somebody is just being mean, if you want to sit somewhere and somebody saying, I will not move. You're asking somebody to move. Can you move to another place? I want to sit here. They're saying, no, I don't want to. I don't care if you want to sit here. That's just, that person doesn't care, or that person is being mean. Hey, I don't want to sit with you. That might not be bullying. Or if there's a conflict, that's meanness. Conflict is that when you say, two of you want to play the same game, or want to become a captain of your team, and you are wanting to do something, or you want to take a role on something, and both of you are having difficulty, or you are at loggerheads because one has one opinion, another has another opinion. That is conflict. And bullying is that when somebody is trying to overpower you, try to suppress and dominate you, and want their way irrespective of how you feel about it.
Yeah.
And we first help children to discriminate, because what is also happening, everybody is saying, if I'm not okay with you, I'm saying you are bullying me.
Mm.
So that is a different situation. Bullying is overpowering, but conflict is where it can be resolved. You talk, you discuss, and you say, hey, this is my way of thinking, this is your way of thinking. Either we solve it, or we agree to disagree. And that is conflict resolution. We help children to understand. If somebody is mean to you, we go and talk to them, we say communication skills, we teach them negotiation skills, we teach them empathy, so that you can work around if somebody is being mean to you. And if somebody is being, if bullying you, if somebody is trying to overpower you, trying to do things that you don't agree to do, they are making you do things, then we help them to reach out for help, stand up for themselves, create support. And we also educate other children in the school to not be a bystander and to be upstander, because we see that wherever bullying happens, it usually happens when a bully is bullying somebody, but in the presence of so many others who say, I don't care if this person is being bullied. So, a lot of work against bullying happens when we educate all children to stop ignoring if somebody is being bullied, somebody is being dominated, and you stand up and you support. If you can't help that person, go report about it. Don't, turn around and say, if because it doesn't matter to me, I will not talk about it. So, therefore, when we say, a lot of times, like you said, that there's bullying also happening, but children are also coming, middle schoolers saying, that person is bullying me, he's taking my water bottle, that person is bullying me, he's sitting in my seat in the bus. And we say, no, that's not bullying. If you don't like it, have you spoken to that person first? Have you told that, I don't want it? Have you reached out a trusted adult for help? And if that is not helping and this person is forcing you to do something which you don't want to do, then it comes under the umbrella of bullying. But talking to children, helping them understand their boundaries and respecting other people's boundaries is very important and that happens at home, that starts at home,
Yeah.
in stopping bullying to happen in school as well.
Like I mean, beautifully captured for what's happening in behind the scenes, and what could parents and teachers do. It actually raises another question that came up now, is how does a child react, or how does the parent help, when the teacher is the one who picks on the child, right? Or repeatedly picks on a child. And how do schools or organizations, management, parents bring in teacher sensitivity, because you don't know what is happening. Okay, parents of course
Hmm.
have the, the ultimate best interest of the child in some ways, right? And then
Yes.
the teacher sensitivity is so important, that yes, there are good teachers, great teachers, but there are also teachers who can leave such a mark on the child that it can stay with them for a really long time. And I've had children come like that to me, and it took us such a long amount of work to build that confidence back to them, finding their self confidence. So how can teacher sensitivity be improved?
Well, I'm so glad you asked that one point, because it is it is really important, and we are now all around the world. The work from student social emotional learning is moving towards teacher social emotional learning. Helping teachers become more aware of their own self. So fundamentally, we all agree and understand that teachers teach, and they have interest of of the child in their mind, in their heart. They want to do good, they want to teach children, they are doing in the best interest of children. But sometimes if we see that teachers are picking on children, or are repeatedly isolating them or saying harsh things, first thing is that we definitely need to speak with those teachers and tell them the impact that that is having on the child of their remarks. Many a times we directly tell teachers how this child feels when you say this to them. And if they don't know what to do, we just tell them, don't say such things, don't call on the child in the class if you can't say nice things. The other thing that we are doing in many schools is working on teachers' own well being. Teacher well being has become a very important part, because as you know, since COVID times, post COVID, the work of teachers have increased manifold because now they have to teach content online, offline. There are no rainy days now. Everything, if it rains, then it's online school, right? So even teachers also as adults have to take on a lot, and many a times they are not taking care of themselves, and those teachers who are burning, from both ends, or are emotionally troubled by something or the other, whether it's personal or professional, that's many a times creeps into the classroom, and they are unable to control their anger or their frustration or even their expectation of children. So we are working also very strongly on teacher well-being, on making them understand and sensitize them about what all impacts a child's healthy growth, holistic growth, which means academic, social, emotional, physical, intellectual, all kinds of growth, and how can teachers impact it both positively and negatively. So we say, sometimes we also tell teachers or even parents that instead of saying don't do this, don't uh, talk in the class, we train or help teachers and parents to say what should the child do instead. Come and sit with me, come and color with me, come sit with me and do this work, complete this work, instead of saying, hey, don't talk or do your own work or something like that. So we are working with teachers to skill them to use more positive and supportive language, child sensitive language, and at the same time work on their own personal well-being, their own emotional stability, so that they are a very stable person who's teaching the child, and whether it's a professional or a personal difficulty, that can be taken up separately. And what a parent can do if they think that a teacher is picking on their child is to talk to them. If the teacher is sensitive and understanding, they will understand. If they are not, just help your child to understand it, talk to the management. If nothing can be done, change the subject teacher or section, because it is very important to protect your child's confidence and uh, interest in learning, because many a times we know that a good teacher ignites that fire, and I will not say a bad teacher, but a teacher who's not sensitive to child's need can douse it. So we want children to have a positive, happy intention, or want to go to school and learn from teachers. So we want them to look forward to learning, because it's a lifelong process. So if there's a teacher who's inhibiting it, we want your child to not make it a universal thing, and talk to the teacher, talk to your child, and do something about it. Don't just stop there and say, what can we do, it's a school. You can do, because you are the parent of the child. Nobody else will do anything for your child more than you.
Nice. I'm going to play the devil's advocate a little, okay? And
Yes. Please do.
and before that, I would like to thank Divya. Thank you for the question, and she commented, "Thank you for your response." And Sangeeta said, "Very helpful to discriminate between conflict, mean behavior, and bullying." Thank you, Sangeeta. Glad some,
Yeah.
you
Thank
could
you.
take that
Yeah.
away. To now talk on the other side, sometimes children can also amplify things, and when the teachers are probably just asking, being a little more nudging or little more pushing them their boundaries in some ways, take that being very sensitive. Sometimes children can become extremely sensitive, and they of course the very reasons for that, but extremely sensitive, and they could amplify something which is small, right? Make a mountain and things like that. How do now teachers also say that, what, it was not so bad? I don't know how it's being perceived like that, right? How to help now?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Again, what we need to do is have a very healthy communication and open communication between all the stakeholders, whether it's parent or child or teacher and child. Because, like I said, teachers are teaching so many other children. It's not just your child in the school. So they are able to discriminate that I did not say something which was so off, I did not say something which was mean or trying to belittle the child. So if the child's response is out of place or exaggerated, then we also need to first see
Yeah.
what is happening with the child. Where is this emotion coming from? Just, today I was at a school, and the teacher said that this is a grade 5 student, day before yesterday, who took the desk and banged it on the floor because of something that happened. And they said that the other children said something which made him so angry, and he banged the table on the floor, desk on the floor, the whole, metal and wood desk. So when I met the child, I had to ask that it is not what the other children said. We have to also see what was happening with the child. Why is the child so angry? Because no matter what others say, nobody touched him, nobody hit him. But if there is a trigger, we say that what was in the child that came out so loudly, or in such a drastic or dramatic manner. So if the child is overreacting, or if you think is oversensitive, there is an emotional difficulty that the child is definitely feeling. Either it's inability to regulate emotion, that I don't know, if somebody says something, I start crying, I don't know how to moderate it. So we teach them emotional regulation skills. Or children, sometimes they just know that if I don't like something, I can just shout at that person. Maybe they've learned it at home, maybe they have not learned regulation at school or at home. So we have to help the children, and sometimes it could be something that the child is facing personally. And like I was telling you this example of this fifth grader, when I spoke to him, he said, I have a little child, I have a little baby brother who my mother is, constantly taking care of. So my mother is busy, and my father is abroad, and he's not coming for next 4 months. And I'm closer to my dad, and my dad is not here, and my mother is busy with the baby brother or baby sibling. So this child is feeling frustrated, and all that frustration is inside the child. When something else comes which is even little, the reaction is so overblown. But it is not. So the teacher was saying that this child is very sensitive. Anything that somebody said, he's reacting like that. But this child was not reacting to the situation at school. This situation at school was adding up to what is happening at home. So we need to understand the child in totality before we say why this child is overreacting or
Yeah.
responding like this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. And before we close, thank you for the audience. It reminded me, last week I had a pediatrician, Dr. Pavitra, and from Kolkata, and
Right.
he was sharing how
Yes.
when children come to his clinic and he can see through the glass door, some of the children can be completely going berserk in the clinic, throwing things, breaking things, and he can actually see that. And when they come inside with the parents also exhibiting such behavior, and how such a thing is on the rise, not on the decline. And all the more reason that we take guard, take steps early on, and we couldn't cover everything. I hope you still got some breakthroughs and insights. And I want to invite Sonal back soon again to continue the talk. There are so many other topics that are there, digital media, you know and the fear of parents missing out, and how they enroll for so many things, and so many other amazing topics that we can still talk about. But for today, thank you so much for taking time out and being here with us, listening in. I'm sharing a form again, which in case you want to reach out to us, then please fill up this form, then we'll be happy to connect with you. And thank you, Sonal, for taking time out, being here. Amazing talking and having this dialogue with you. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Preetham, for having me. It was a pleasure, and I know there is lots that we can talk about maybe some other time. And I'm happy that some parents did ask a few questions, and we were able to give some input.
Yeah.
But maybe more to learn from you also on this topic next
My
time.
pleasure. But thank you so much on this. Yeah. See
Yeah,
you, everybody. I
sure.
hope you
All right.
follow the YouTube
Thank
channel
you.
or LinkedIn or wherever you are so you can get insights and make sure to hit the notification so you get a reminder of such sessions with amazing guests that we will be bringing here. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a good night.
Have a good evening,